Parasites. What a fascinating topic. Did you know that since the 1990s, when the globalization of America's food supply increased dramatically, there were about 13 species of parasites of concern, but today that factor has increased by a factor of 8? I'll bet you didn't, or at least not that specifically. Does this mean you are at risk of a foodborne parasitic infection? You bet. Does it mean you won't be able to take steps to reduce your chances of contracting one of these little critters? Absolutely not. Today you guys will learn about what a foodborne parasite is, where it's found, and what you can do to prevent infection. The textbook definition of a parasite, according to the CDC, is an organism that lives on or in a host and gets its food from or at the expense of its host. That's all well and good, but don't you really want to know what that means in a more complex 400 level class way? Well, first we have to start with how a parasite gets into the food. A class of parasites, small in nature, called protozoa, are readily transported to food by contaminated water. Fecal contamination of water sources used in crop irrigation and food processing are major sources of human infection. This is what caused the recent Cyclospora cayentanensis outbreak in 2014, which affected 207 individuals. The source was found to be cilantro, sourced from Pueblo, Mexico, contaminated with feces. Contaminated water sources are also a major pathway to infecting delicious surf and turf proteins like fish and wild pork. 400,000 Milwaukee residents were infected with Cryptosporidium from contaminated water.
Using Dr. Fayer's findings, one leading theory has emerged as to what caused the outbreak. In late March 1993, an isolated sewage leak could have released a cloud of Cryptosporidium-infected human feces into the rivers that feed Milwaukee's water system. The parasitic cloud would have caused the spike in turbidity at the Southside plant before infecting the drinking water. By early April, when the turbidity levels had returned to normal and no further cases were reported, the mass would have cleared the system.
The cycle of a parasite starts with an organism that ingests a source of contamination, either another animal infected with the parasite or food contaminated with the feces of another infected animal. The parasite then grows to maturity in the animal until the animal is either eaten or parasitic larvae exit through the feces. To enunciate on this with an example, the life cycle of an anisakid nematode, a type of helminth, begins when a marine mammal eats an infected fish. The larval nematode grows to maturity, and then the marine mammal excretes the nematode eggs into the sea, where they hatch. Shrimp-like animals eat the larva, and fish eat the shrimp. The larvae then develop into the form we see in fish. Then we eat that fish. Did you know that parasites in fish are a common occurrence and that you've probably eaten some? Wait. What were those words I used a minute ago? Protozoa? Helminths. Yes, a protozoa. It is one of the two classes of parasites we are concerned with for food contamination. Protozoa are microscopic one-celled organisms that can be free-living or parasitic in nature. They're able to multiply in humans, which contributes to their survival and also permits serious infections to develop from just a single organism. Helminths are large multicellular organisms that are generally visible to the naked eye in their adult stages. Their subcategories include flatworms, thorny-headed worms, and roundworms. So now that you know where you got it and what you probably have, what is going to happen to you now? Are you going to die? Nah, most likely not. Although some parasites like Toxoplasma gondii can produce a toxin leading to a disease called toxoplasmosis. More than likely, you'll experience a wealth of GI distress symptoms like abdominal pain, diarrhea, and nausea, as well as fatigue. This makes differentiating an illness from a parasite or some other type of food poisoning difficult. The way to determine the difference is by analysis of a stool sample, colonoscopy, or a blood test. Well, screw that. I just don't want a parasite. Well, that is a great attitude for you to have. Let's see if I can help broker that deal. Cook your food. Remember the fish thing we were talking about a second ago. The anisakid nematode does not survive well against heat. Cooking meat to its minimum safe internal temperature will greatly reduce your chances of contracting the parasite. A meat-related outbreak occurred in 2018 when a traditional dish of raw pork was served in California. It resulted in at least 12 cases of the parasitic infection known as trichinosis. Want to make your food even safer? Remember how contaminated water can be used to spray farm fields? Or if birds with a parasite fly over and vacate their system? Try peeling or thoroughly washing fruits and vegetables, especially lettuce, since it will not be cooked. Wash your hands. Since we know that parasites can be transmitted through animal feces, do you think yours is any different? Proper hand washing ensures that any parasitic larva will be transmitted from your plumbing to your house's plumbing. Poor sanitation in the home, work, and farm are reasons that parasites are much more common in undeveloped nations. This does not mean that the U.S. is immune from the parasite's grasp. However, by stepping up your own level of culinary ability and sanitation standards, you can seriously mitigate the risk of a parasite in your everyday life.